Okay, we got to talk about She-Hulk. I'm checking some stuff. We got to talk about She-Hulk. I meant to do this on Saturday originally, but my parents were in town, so we spent the whole week just kind of hanging out, and I didn't get a lot of work done here. But now I'm back. It was really fun having some time with them. My mom has never been to Texas. My dad's been here a number of times, but got to do a few things. It was really good to see him. Haven't seen them since Christmas, so very nice time. But let's talk about She-Hulk, episodes 1 and 2. I wanted to do this after episode 1, but I said, let me wait and just see how episode 2 goes so I can have a better idea of what this is going to be. And I think I do. So I want to dig in a little bit into what I think the show's going to be, just story-wise overall, and kind of its place in the MCU is kind of where I want to go with this. So a little bit different, but more or less still a recap of episode 1 and 2. So if you've seen them, sweet. If you haven't, you don't want to be spoiled, get out of here quick, because we're going to kind of dig a little bit into each episode, and I don't want to give anything away if you haven't seen it. So all right, here we go. So I will say right out the gate, episode 1 is a much weaker entry than episode 2. I kind of wish episode 2 just kind of had a little flashback of what we see in episode 1, and then it just kind of took off from there, because episode 2 is much better in comparison to the first episode. You get a lot of Hulk, a lot of She-Hulk, and you see a little bit of the tricks they do to make sure that they don't overdo the CGI budget in the first episode, because there's a lot of Hulk. I will give them that. It was kind of cool to see. But what I didn't like were the moments when they try to really make She-Hulk seem like she's better than Bruce Banner as a Hulk, with all the things he's gone through. And more or less, he says it, 15-year time span of finally understanding how he can control Hulk and they can be one together. She does all that in really more or less a span of a day, maybe 2 days. So that was a little bit weird that it happened so fast, but that's where most of the, hey, the woman's better than the guy stuff kind of comes in. And I have a really good, or I guess I was given a really good example of why that is. And I will take it. Chris S., you're on the Discord, you're a member. Appreciate you. Love you. If you're not on the Discord, guys, join the Discord. We have a lot of good conversations in there, but we talked on Discord about the show a little bit, and he had a good idea or a good theory, just that it seemed that way as far as her being better than the Hulk, or being positioned better than Hulk or Bruce Banner, because she does a lot of fourth wall breaks in the show, and she is telling her story. And if you told your own story, would you tell all your faults and all your failures? No, you would not. So in this moment, beginning of the show, she kind of talks about how she became the Hulk, and she's the narrator of her story. That's the first fourth wall break. There's also another fourth wall break in that story. It's like we're present in that story at that moment, when really we're not. It's the past, where she's telling us a story as it's happening. So that was a little bit odd too. So tell me a little bit of what you know on that. Has Deadpool done that? I don't remember Deadpool doing a fourth wall break in a story he's talking about or narrating, like when he's going over his origin story necessarily. Let me know. But in this one, she does. And so most of what's happening is happening in a way that's like, oh, this is happening really fast. Is this a Mary Sue situation? Why is she having all these successes so quickly? And they kind of explain it as far as from a DNA standpoint, a little bit here and there. But it happens so quickly. But that's really the only moment where I was like, oh, here we go. But then I had to remember, and Chris, you helped me, that she is telling the story. She's telling the story from her perspective. And so it kind of would make sense that it would pan out this way. If someone else was telling the story, would it come out a different way? Same thing with Bruce. If he was telling the story, he'd probably tell about all her failures, because that's just from his view how it looks. So I had to kind of think of that perspective when I was watching the show as well. And watching it a second time, I kind of enjoyed it a little bit better. Even though there's a fight between Hulk and She-Hulk that doesn't need to happen. It's just really more or less a cousin quarrel. It's kind of like pointless. And you're like, okay, why are they even doing this? Nobody's about to get hurt. Nobody's about to die. It's just two people letting out a little bit of anger, and they can do it because they're both Hulks. So why not fight, I guess? I don't know. Episode 1 is also where we get our first look at Titania. And it's very short. The scene that she's in is horribly edited. It feels like just a really jump cut scenario of action that's happening. And so that one was really weird. And so that's kind of what dumbed down the episode for me a little bit. It felt like they were really trying to rush for some reason to get to episode 2, where I feel like episode 2 was taking its time a little bit better, establishing characters in a better way. And we got to just kind of ease into things rather than feeling like everything was so rushed to a point where I almost forget that episode 1 exists. That's where it is for me. But yeah, that overall, that's kind of where I am with episode 1. There's a lot of moments in there where they're questionable, but then you're like, okay, I see why it's kind of happening from this. If I look at it from her perspective, I see why it played out the way that it did in episode 1. Episode 2 is where I feel like the show kind of really starts to spread its wings a little bit, and where I get a better idea of where this show and this character falls into the MCU and kind of like what their purpose is, or what the show's purpose is, more or less. I feel like it's really going to connect the dots between multiple shows and movies as far as plot points or little threads that maybe didn't get answered. Case in point, in this episode, at the very end, Tatiana Maslany, she's already met with Emil Blonsky, who played Abomination in The Incredible Hulk. So they bring that back in a couple of different ways, which is really good and fun to see. And so she has a conversation with him. She calls Bruce Banner, or she calls Hulk, to be like, hey, is it okay if I take this case? Or Smart Hulk, I guess. And he's like, yeah, it's all good, as he flies away in a ship off to probably Sakaar or another planet to figure out why they're kind of coming after him and all that after Thor Ragnarok. So there's like little pieces there. But moving on, as far as her scenario, she takes the case because she had to think about it. She got a new job, and the guy, her boss, is like, you have to either take this case or you're fired, or you can't get the job, whatever. She takes the case, and as she takes the case, she watches the news, and it's the moment when Emil Blonsky, or Abomination, is fighting Wong in Shang-Chi in the movie, in the underground fight ring. There's footage of that now. Now she's got that she has to deal with this case, because at first she feels like it's going to be a piece of cake. She's going to get him out because he's trying to go on parole and get out of prison, or this maximum security prison. And now she's got this to deal with. Now I understand why Wong comes into play and kind of helps out, things of that nature. But there's also, we know Daredevil's going to be in the show. And so I feel like this show is going to be a kind of a scenario where it's connecting the dots for different shows and different movies and different plot points, and giving us explanations of things that maybe we might see pieces of in other movies and TV shows, but there's no full explanation there. They're going to kind of explain it in this show, or at least start the explanation in this show as far as a Daredevil piece that might feed into his show, Daredevil Born Again. Who knows? And I'm saying that's going to be like 18 episodes, 17, 18 episodes. But I'm like, that is insane. Like that'll be the most of any Disney Plus show that we've seen. This one that being 9, I'm happy this one's 9, which shows me that it's probably going to have to do a lot, because 6 episodes, it feels so short. If it's just focusing on the character itself, they could do 6, but that lets me know that they're feeding into other shows and other movies with some of the plot points that will happen in this show. That also helps me be patient with this show, because after 2 episodes, we still don't really know, more or less, what's going on or what's the point of the show. And I feel like that's the point. Like, it's going to be kind of this nucleus in the middle of all these things that are going to branch off and happen from it, from a small town feel, more or less. Nothing that's going to be cosmic or huge, I don't think, like a Loki situation. It's going to be more of a street level scenario, which I think is fine. That's why we got Daredevil in there. He's going to show up at some point. Nowhere in episode 2, if you haven't seen it, he's nowhere in episode 2. I don't think from my understanding, he doesn't show up even in the first 4 episodes. So we'll see kind of where that plays in with the show. If it's going to be episode 5 or later, or the finale, I don't know. They might save until the end, just as a little tease. But I really hope that this show takes advantage of the street level status that it can have. One, and just feeling like just a better real take on the superhero genre. I think Tatiana Maslany does a great job in the role already. Like, I already love her. I love her more than I've loved most intro characters. She just feels more relatable, I think, from that aspect. I think of characters like Mark Spector or Captain Marvel, or even obviously, Miss Marvel is cool, but I'm an adult. I don't gravitate to that at all. But Jennifer Walters just feels like a real character, like a real person in a real situation, in the midst of the MCU universe. And so that feels very refreshing. I feel like the show is taking full advantage of that with her character. Everybody else feels like a caricature of a real person. Her paralegal / friend feels nothing like a real person, really. I guess if Jennifer Walters was a celebrity, which she is now, then yeah, sort of real, but that's not a real person. Like, that's not a person you want to really be connected to, that doesn't ever tell you about, things that you need to work on, or just be real with you. That part's a little bit odd for me. But Dennis, the other character, he's a male character that's also a lawyer. very much not a real person. Maybe he is, but not a real person I've ever known or been associated with. He even says at one point in the bar, he's like trying to figure out if she got her superpowers just to win the case and be better than him. And then he says, oh, I see a hot chick over there. I'm going to go talk to it. Like things like that. Like I know there's guys out there like that, but he's not even like doing it in a funny way where you can be like, oh man, this guy's funny. I want to see more of him, but he's horrible, but he's funny. I've seen characters like that and I wish he was more like that. He's just really just awful. Like that's just literally what it is. Outside of that, Bruce Banner, he was in this episode. He is for a little bit and then he's gone. Again, they ship him off to another planet. He's out of the show unless he shows back up later on. Now it's just She-Hulk. So it's almost like they were really gearing up to like, hey, we got to hurry up and get him out of here so that we can just have She-Hulk and she be the main reason people watch this show. They got him out quick. But I will say again, Tatiana Maslany, she's going to be the one that holds this ship together. As far as the CGI, it's very questionable in episode 1. Episode 1 is very questionable, and then there's a lot of moments in episode 2 where it's also, again, very questionable. It doesn't look that great. Most of the times when it looks great is in low lighting. When they have her in low light, when she's in like in episode 1, Bruce Banner's little laboratory area, looks great there. But in the lights, when they're outside during the day, it's like, I don't know. Same thing in episode 2, in the bar scene, looks great there for the most part. When she's talking, it still just seems like it's not Tatiana Maslany talking for real. Like it's actually a CGI character. It's a little tough. And I wonder if it would have been hard for them to do anything different where it looks just more photorealistic. There's moments where it does, but there's a lot of moments where it looks a little cheesy. The other part too is I thought maybe it would look better in motion than in pictures, because in pictures, still photos, it looks really bad in a lot of cases. In movement, it looks better, but it's just okay. But again, I will say this, for TV, it looks amazing. If this was a movie, I'd have way more complaints and I'll go on it a little bit harder. But for it to be on TV and it's Disney Plus, and yes, I know they're putting like movie money into these shows. I know that. Still, to be on TV and we're getting this is actually pretty dope. It's amazing. I'll give it a pass overall. It hasn't looked so bad where I'm like, holy crap, like the first trailer, that was bad. This one's like, all right, they're trying. It looks good in a lot of different places, but also there's moments where it looks bad, but it doesn't take me out of it overall when she's talking to a real person rather than talking to two Hulks. It's like, okay, this is like a video game right now. We'll see if it gets better. Overall, I'm excited for more episodes of She-Hulk. I'm surprised that I am. Episode 2 was really funny. I've actually found myself rewinding a number of scenes because they were funny. I thought that was good too. So that's kind of what you want from a show like this. Hopefully, if you're watching it, you're enjoying it. If you're not, let me know why. Let me know why you're not enjoying the show. Again, there are some characters that are questionable where I'm like, all right, they're just horrible. They're making some of the guys more or less servants and or just jerks in this show already. So I'm noticing that. But I'm hoping that there will be some redemption when it comes to some of the male characters. Not Dennis, though. Dennis can stay bad, whatever. I don't care about him. But there's another guy in the office that's kind of helping Jennifer out. We'll see if there's more of him in the show. Again, let me know your thoughts on She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, or Attorney for Hire. Episodes 1 and 2. Look for episode 3. I would say probably like Friday, Saturday. As far as a recap, I will go over that. If I can get to it earlier, I will. But I'm going to try to get these out as often as I can. We got this and we got House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones going at the same time. So I'm trying to get to these as quickly as I can. So bear with me. Appreciate you guys though. Members, subscribers, watchers, however you support. I love it. I think it's awesome that you do that. There's many other channels you can watch, but you watch this channel. I think that is amazing. So thanks for the support. As always, I'll look for your comments down below and I will see you guys on the next video. Take care.